Sacre bleu, the Spurs steal game one. Wembanyama with a performance for the ages. Someone texted me it looked like wilt, and that someone was Michael Wilbon, who texted me last night during the game. Wembanyama, one of the genuinely great performances that you will ever see. He becomes the youngest player in playoff history with a 40-20 game, breaking a 56-year-old record previously held by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Wemby outperforming the MVP SGA last night. SGA had 24 points on 23 shots. And after the game, Wemby was talking about, among other things, losing out on that award.
Pretty natural response for a competitor to see another competitor get something that he wants, whether it's the MVP trophy or whatever it might be. I'm just curious if that was in your mind at all, knowing that Shea had got that award and you were in the top 3 for it, and, did any part of tonight feel personal? Some of your facial expressions kind of look like you were really, really going for it.
Yeah, for sure. Everything you just said. I still got a lot to learn. And I want to get that trophy, many times in my career.
But he may have to settle for a different trophy, one named for Mr. O'Brien this year. They're 7 wins away from getting it. Michael Wilbon, I'll start with you. You sent me a flurry of texts. I got up and watched the game on tape this morning, but I already knew that it was going to be something special because of all the texts you sent me. What's the first words out of our mouths about Wembanyama this morning?
It was historic, the performance. It was the human drama of athletic competition. 41 and 24 are all the numbers I need. I don't need numbers. When those players on his own team were staring at him in awe late in the game, that clip where he's looking at them and they're all looking back at him. Do you know how many people get that in the history of basketball? It's a real small number, and there's some great players who never got that. But with Wembanyama, there's certainly, I started paying attention in the offseason when Brian Windhorst started writing about Wemby and what he was doing. Our Kendrick Perkins had the great line in Live Time last night on SportsCenter.
Yeah.
When he said, I'm watching the game with my wife and kids, and at the end of it, I'm watching Wembanyama, and I say to my wife, it's the monks. We got to send our kids to the monks. It was such a great characterization because it looks like something otherworldly that possesses him now. We're not talking about, it's one of the great games of all time. But the performance, I'm looking at it, and when I'm texting you, it reminds me of things I'd seen in my life, sitting at ringside watching a young Mike Tyson, sitting, standing and watching behind the ropes and watching a young Tiger Woods. It reminds me of that, where everyone is in awe of everything he's doing, including the opposition. They don't want to tell you that. And it's happened, with Bird and Magic and Jordan and Kobe and Shaq and the great players, LeBron, of course. It's happened, but this dude is 22, and he's doing this.
Yep.
And there's a certain, you tell me if I'm wrong, because you know him so much better. There's a certain pettiness that has to go into it, which I love, which he dislikes. The great players have an active dislike for other teams and other people. And earlier in their lives, before they became best friends, Bird and Magic had it for each other.
Oh, yeah.
And they would have it across 3,000 miles. They'd look at the box score and say to you, if you're in the locker room, what did Bird do last night? Because they hated each other and they love each other. But Wemby, is that too much?
No, he stays petty all the time.
Love it.
In the moment, he's petty. I have a rule where I never, ever overreact to game one, no matter what happens. But I'm really, really trying to stay disciplined in that because I'm not sure how you're beating him 4 out of 7. And I mean, going forward. And this game, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, they made it clear they're going to just swarm him. It's going to be a real difficulty for the Thunder to overcome that. I'm not sure what the game plan that I thought they did a good job on him last night. I know that the stats are crazy. I'm not sure they can do that much better on him. I'm not sure how you take him 4 out of 7. And at this point, 4 out of 6.
That's
I
right.
just don't know.
A little bit of luck, or a lot of bit of luck has to be involved. I think for me, I come away from that game literally double overtime. I'm like, I gotta go to bed, we gotta wake up in the morning. I'm exhausted. I can only imagine what those players feel. And so do you wonder about the body blows that both teams are having to absorb? It's not just a Wemby thing, but there are so many times in that course of that game where he hits the ground or you see the extra bodies. There was one play in particular in the third quarter where he's ping-ponging off of Thunder defenders, but ultimately ends up at the free throw line. And to Perk's point, as we take a look at this play, this is what Wendy is talking about in terms of the Thunder doing a decent job. We're going to be physical. We're going to send a second line of help. He gets knocked down on this play, but then he keeps playing. I think there was an offensive rebound and ends up at the free free throw line. So the poise that he showed, and we talked about the ejection in the Minnesota series.
Yeah.
I don't know where that fits in his arc, but the ability to expect and anticipate a next level of contact and perform at the highest level, it's just, I'm out of
Can I
words
just
for it.
say that when he went to the Monks, it wasn't a weekend.
Yeah.
He did it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Getting up at 4 a.m. every day. How long's a playoff series?
About 2 weeks.
It's obviously physical, but this is going to be a mental toughness challenge. But he was preparing for the mental toughness. And when in the second overtime last night, he never played more minutes in his life, ever.
Yeah.
But he didn't just have the physical ability, he had the mental ability too.
Wembanyama last night but basically it felt like he never came off the floor. He played almost 49 minutes in the action last night. And you talk about the Monks and you talk about the elbow ejection. Every hero, every Avenger has an origin story, right? And all of this, it feels like we are seeing the origin story develop. And the question remains, is he ready to do it 7 more times right now? I think all of us would agree. There's no one watching this that wouldn't agree that if he stays healthy, if God willing, that kid stays healthy and has a full trajectory of a career, he's going to be special. He's going to be one that we talk about with the all-time greats. But from a more immediate perspective, do you think they're ready to do this against the champs 3 more times, as Wendy just said, in the next 2 weeks?
I agree with him completely. Game 1, all my life, old coaches would tell us when we were young sports writers doing this stuff, stop, don't get carried away with Game 1. How do you not get carried away? What is it Oklahoma City's going to do differently or not differently, better? Maybe they do the same thing and they do it better, maybe. I mean, there people were texting saying, why does he have Caruso? Why does he have Dort? No, you got to have those guys too. Yeah. You have to have everybody on you. It's almost like, the old Jordan rules where everybody took a turn. They did everything but knock him to the floor, and I don't know that Oklahoma City does that. But what do you do to stop this, to slow him down enough?
If you're the Thunder, what you're saying is Shea went 7 of 23. He never has multiple bad games. He'll be better. But I look at it and say Stephon Castle had 11 turnovers because no De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is not out for the series. He'll come back. And the way that they defended him, it was almost like they went back to the old Greg Popovich game plan against LeBron back in the 2007 finals. They blew the dust off of that and they said, we're going to play elbows and boxes and we're not going to let him in there. So you're going to need more from Chet Holmgren. You're going to need more from A.J. Mitchell. You're going to need more in general offense from the Thunder.
The last thing I'll add to that, though, Wendy, is I thought down the stretch in regulation, some questionable decisions on the part of the Thunder. I mean, you had the shot, which by A.J. Mitchell, he has hit that. If he hits that shot, it's a different story, but he didn't. I thought there was a little bit of
Jalen Williams,
time and score stuff.
Before the Victor three-pointer, the jaw-dropping three-pointer, Jalen Williams had a loose possession.
Yep.
And I hate to say it comes down to that, but if you're going to beat the Spurs and you're going to beat Wemby, you may not be able to get away with that.
Another thing, just very quickly, you talk about SJ not having back-to-back games. He's the MVP, deserves it. He's an unbelievable player. Very quietly, because it hasn't really mattered, because they haven't been tested at all, he really hasn't had a great postseason. They haven't needed him to.
J.J. Redick
now they're going
brought out this double-team heavy defense. Mitch Johnson, no doubt, studied that game plan and then added to it because the Lakers don't have Wembanyama there as a second line of defense. The Spurs are equipped to run what the Lakers were doing at a higher level, and that's essentially what they did.
It feels to me like the answer to the question, how do you beat him 4 out of 6, is the best player in the league, which is what SGA was named last night, has to play like the best player on the floor. And last night, he most certainly was not.
No, he didn't. There were only a couple of instances where he forced the action. We are now at the force the action part of the calendar, okay?
Right.
I mean, there's no more letting the game come to me. And that's what, again, you see from all the great players. And SGA, I mean, he hasn't played in as many high leverage games. I mean, it's only been a couple of year run for him, even though he's been great individually for a long time. The postseason games, it's relatively few, but this is one game, game 2. If he doesn't come out and assert himself, and I believe he will, then the champs are in trouble.
The De'Aaron Fox thing took everybody by some degree of surprise yesterday afternoon. You just mentioned he's not out for the series. Do we know?
He was questionable. Like, that's an injury that you think you try to play through. Obviously, it's more severe than they were letting on.
So that feels like a big factor here because they did this, in case you didn't watch it last night, San Antonio did this without one of their best and most important players, and all those turnovers they had late. Oklahoma City gets back in the game off the back-to-back turnovers at the top. Those plays probably don't happen if Fox is out.
We didn't talk about Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper had 24 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists. Most importantly, 7 steals, 1 turnover in 48 minutes. That was saved.
And the defense he played, there were possessions late in that game where he made Holmgren give up the ball after Holmgren had spun each way 3 or 4 times. It's like, no, you may be 7-1. You are not getting a shot
And
here.
then the young man has an and-one play in the overtime, like against Chet, like down the stretch. I mean, he just rose to the moment at every point. And I think that, to your point, De'Aaron Fox is coming back, which you know is going to be a boost for the Spurs. Outside of Shea's performance and Chet's performance, the Spurs did so much of what the Thunder did so much of what they typically do. They got 28 points off of turnovers. These are formulas that typically lead to a Thunder victory.
So I'll say this. So Wendy and Wilbon are disciplined and they are veteran and they don't overreact to game 1. Me, not so much. I have been accused a few times in my life of being an overreactor. So I was delighted to see, Cindy, can we put up A19, that it's not just me that all of a sudden may have changed my mind. Although I wouldn't have to because I picked the Spurs before it started, but either way. The Spurs are up 1-0. They've stolen home court advantage, and DraftKings Sportsbook now basically has this an even series. Our analytics give the Spurs the advantage at 57%, which is not a huge differential, but it's not nothing. Our analytics have decided that maybe as you watch this, all the stuff we saw in the regular season, we are so quick to throw out the regular season, and I understand why. But the reality is these teams played in the regular season. Most of those games felt like they mattered, and San Antonio basically won them all.
They've played 6 times now. The Spurs have won 5. One of the games was a throwaway game, so if you want to say they've played 5, it's still 4-1.
Yeah.
And to me, they are the outright favorite in this series, the Spurs are. And I'm not taking anything from the Thunder. I thought they were brilliant last night in some ways. The Spurs are an absolute beast, and here's the thing. Castle, 22.
Yeah.
Harper, 21.
balance.
Victor, 22.
Yeah.
Look
young,
out.
and they're so good.
Yeah.
And Vassell had contributions last night. Champagny had. We talk about OKC's depth, legitimately so. The Spurs are right there with them, and they're part of the knowledge that you can go out and do these things because you've also got the depth. Has got to be something that who else has that? I mean, by the way, can I just be annoying and anger everybody in New York?
Oh no!
Oh, here we go.
Well,
Here we
I'm
go.
gonna do it.
Go.
Nothing that we see here in this series in the Eastern Conference is going to approach last night. Nothing. Okay? This is the junior varsity series.
Ooh.
It may be great. By the way, the winner, if it's the Knicks, could survive and win the whole thing because these two could kill each other, go Ali Frazier and Manila, and nothing's left. But nothing we're going to see out of Madison Square Garden is going to come close to what we saw last night.
We'll find out. Mr. Wilbon will be there at MSG tonight, so we'll see. Actually, I think everyone here is